All right, everyone, this is Conspiracy Cowgirls that we are videotaping today.
My gloves.
What
I'm
up?
cooking and cleaning, so in
You can
between
see the
all of
faces behind the Conspiracy Cowgirls.
weird nerds.
Yeah, pretty.
Literal dorks.
All right, and so this is our
Um,
first episode in the new year.
Episode in the new year and our first video episode.
First video episode.
So we're pretty excited about it, I think. I'm Jasmine.
I'm Taryn.
Yeah, so now you have faces that match the names.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I mean our last episode we left off on um
it was part two of the abortion conspiracy.
leading into the use of adrenochrome,
This just
and
so happens to be one of Jasmine's favorite conspiracies.
it really is. It's crazy. I mean, there's just so much to it. There's so many different avenues, and people just literally think it's fake and that it's a conspiracy, exactly a conspiracy. But it's just, I mean, it's one of my I have a couple of favorite conspiracies, but this is definitely a rabbit hole. And if you're not prepared to be in shock and awe constantly, this is not something that you even want to tap into.
No.
It's so
I'll be
crazy.
honest, this conspiracy in particular has been a little bit hard for me to dive into too deep because of the wormholes that it takes you down. Like the one I was just telling you that yesterday, I made the mistake of slipping into the baby farming wormhole, which I was like, that's just too dark for me, dude. I mean, listen, I can get down with the darkness conspiracies, but that shit is like, oh hell no. So
Yeah, and for me, I love learning as much about it as possible because when people bring it up, I want to be able to cite sources and give them things to watch and give them, you know, news reels that it's are somehow accidentally being released. And I love it. It's dark, it's sad is what it is. It's really fucking sad. And how they walk a line trying to make it look like it's a scientific endeavor. And in reality, it, like I was telling you earlier, it is used in a dark realm as well. It's used by a lot of people.
So wait, let's just start by like,
Yeah.
if you just want to explain what adrenochrome is.
Okay. So, adrenochrome, chrome is it's
Allegedly.
well, no, this is not allegedly. Adrenochrome is it's basically the oxidation of human blood or animal blood, but mainly human blood. Chrome is the color that it turns once it's oxidized. It is like a deep violet red, but adrenaline is actually white. So adrenochrome is the result of adrenaline being exposed to the air. So adrenaline is white in our body, and once it is exposed to the air, it turns this deep reddish violet color, right? But um, it is adrenaline is it happens when you're running or you are in fight or flight. Basically, it's fight or flight.
So
And
like
it's
when
when,
animals are running from hunters and stuff like that.
yeah, when animals are running from hunters, when, I'm just going to use this example when dogs are in fighting rings, when, any mammal is in a situation that is in fight or flight, and I think probably, I don't know if like lizards and all that, I mean, have it, but
Yeah, I'm
that's a
a
whole nother
limited
conspiracy.
educated person. Right. So it's like if I can get this straight, it's like if I've been really stressed before, like in maybe like a even like a chronic stress, they say it affects your adrenal glands.
It is,
So
yeah,
my
it affects your
adrenals
adrenal
will
glands.
get depleted because they're
Yeah,
constantly flushing that
yeah,
cortisol, essentially,
yeah.
right?
So it's well, and it creates epinephrine, which is what makes you like hyper aware, right? You're like people who have been in a constant state of fight or flight their whole life, their body produces a lot of epinephrine, right? And that's why when you, like, say, that's the epinephrine pins that they give to drug addicts when they overdose and their heart stops. They do a shot of epinephrine in their leg if they're having an allergic reaction to something, or they are overdosing or whatever. That is basically what they're using. So our bodies naturally create it, but when you're in that state of fight or flight, that's when the adrenaline is produced. And the conspiracy around the use of that oxidized blood is where we're at right now and why we're making this episode
Okay.
and what it can be used for.
Mm,
And
okay.
there's a lot of, oh no, it can't be used for that. That's just a conspiracy theory that's used by QAnon, you
What
know?
is the conspiracy? Can you tell me what the like main conspiracy around adrenochrome is? Just for our
Right.
audience who hasn't, who's kind of just like new to the whole world of adrenochrome.
It's so deep. It's so crazy. Um, so basically,
But if I
the
was to like
cons
Google it, like what would be the first thing that would come up about it? Probably that
uh
you're crazy, get off of Google.
yeah, well, no, actually, I mean, what would come if you say what is adrenochrome used for,
I'm just
it
gonna
would
Google
go,
it while we're here, just
it would
but keep
probably
talking.
pop up. The first thing that would pop up would be what is adrenochrome? What is the, it's like it's the compound, and it'll show you all of the scientific backing on what adrenochrome is. So basically, back in the 1800s, it's actually been used far before it was discovered in. Adrenaline was discovered in about 1615 by a German doctor, and then it came back around in the 1800s by a French neurologist and scientist. And he basically, they found that they were trying to treat schizophrenia. So basically, when people who have schizophrenia, they have like, they're delusional, right? They have like all these really crazy conspiracies in their brains. They think people are out to get them. They think this, they think that, right? They think there's bugs on their skin, so they pick all their skin off, you know. Um, but they say that the use of adrenochrome to treat um, people's uh, neuro um, neurological disorders. Sorry, I
I
sometimes
was
get like
reading
my,
that it was like schizophrenia was one of the things that they were treating with it.
yeah, but it ends up that it makes it worse.
Oh.
So they stop doing that.
So I'm looking up, I just Googled it, and what the first thing that popped up was Wikipedia, which I'm always hesitant to kind of go straight to Wikipedia. So
Right,
the next one down is the American Chemical Society,
right.
acs.org. I can cite this. We always like to
Mm-hmm.
cite our sources, so I'm going to cite
Mm-hmm.
that. And it basically just says exactly what you said about it, like what adrenochrome and, it's a molecule and it describes everything pretty much that you said. So, that is interesting. And this next one is sciencedirect.com, the effect of adrenochrome and adrenolutin on the behavior of animals and the psychology of man.
Yeah,
Kind of
it's
interesting.
pretty crazy. So what they do is, right, they obviously, animals, you and I mean, it's like our day-to-day products, right? Everything is tested on animals, everything. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. If you're using makeup, it's probably been tested on animals. If you're using shampoo, it's probably been tested on animals. Plant fertilizers probably been tested on animals. It's a twisted world we live in where things that don't even need to be tested on animals are tested on animals for human safety. So basically, they take and they do these studies on dogs, mice, monkeys, all kinds of different animals. But they mainly study the use of young blood from mice, and they basically paint it on um it sounds so terrible, and a lot of people, this is a trigger warning, but of laboratory testing on animals. They will conjoin animals, and they will take, so they share, basically, eventually they share cells, they share brains, they share bodies, sometimes all the way fully connected, and other times they're just connected by the brains or the kidneys, to see what kidney restoration will happen when you connect a young mouse kidney to an older mouse kidney. Anyway, um, so they did a study in 2000, and I think it was 13, and I can send you the site for this, um, at Stanford University. Um, and they basically, one of the younger neurologists, they took brain cells from a young mouse and they painted it on to the brain cells of an older mouse. And within just 24 hours, the the brain cells, which is obviously in blood, um, the brain cells from the younger mouse to the older mouse, it created, the older mouse started showing signs of being younger again. He had more energy. He was more neurologically aware. He was able to, get his food quicker. He was able,
Where's
his
that? Where was that
reaction
study?
at Stanford University in California. I
Wow.
know.
Can we
I know.
find it?
It's crazy.
I want
Yeah.
to find.
I can send it to you.
Okay.
Um so and I'll send you all of like the doctors that I mentioned, and um so um yeah, they say in like the 50s and 60s, when adrenochrome was used to study schizophrenia, that instead of um, reversing it, it actually caused more. I have some things written down, more of derealization and thought disorder. Now, what's really interesting is that adrenochrome produces the same psychological effects like as mescaline.
Hmm, interesting. So that's
Yeah,
when, like, in the famous one that everybody always talks about is like
fear and loathing,
Fear and Loathing. Yeah, they say
fear
that,
and loathing.
in that movie is when it became kind of popular about it being like getting you high.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because if you look up, uh, you can look it up on Wikipedia and then you can further research it. But it has been used in so many movies, starting in like the 1950s and 60s. It's been used as a focal point of, like, in Fear and Loathing, right? Where they are tripping out and they're like, whoa, and it's all this psychological effects. But I think personally that in small doses, not large doses, like I think a lot of people are like trying to think like, oh yeah, you'd need large doses to do this or that. I think in really small micro doses, you will get the anti-aging effects that they talk about in these, scientific studies. It's not like you are going to, just pump your body full of blood instantly, by getting this young blood transfusion, which is a thing, by the way. Transfusions from young, and there's, Google has the Calico operation that they do um, in the South Bay of California. They have all kinds of stem cell research, using stem cells from young children, and uh, injecting it into siblings or parents. And I do believe that it is used for, you know, scientific research on humans. It's crazy to me. And I will send you all of the sources so you can cite them too.
Okay.
Um,
And then Monsters
um,
Inc. is like a really freaking crazy one. I never even
Mhm.
like
I
put
know.
that together, and then you told me about it and I was watching it, and then I started deep diving on that and I'm just like, holy shit. Like even
I
the
know. What did
characters
you
and
find on
monsters.
Reddit? I know
Oh
you found
God.
some stuff on Reddit.
I did. Yeah, let me see if I can find that again. It was like a list of movies that have that are related
A
to,
list of kids' movies.
kids movies that are related.
Kids' movies. Like they're literally brainwashing children to normalize this stuff and to desensitize people. And parents don't even realize it. I mean, I didn't. I have kids that are adults now. And when my kids were little, I was watching The Little Mermaid. What I can't remember what somebody was telling me the other day, and I'm going to have to think about this. I might even have to put out my feelers to people and talk to them about a movie.
But, well,
I'm I have to think about it. Anyway, go
On
ahead.
this Reddit page, they were saying like they give you a list of I have to find it, but they give you a list of the characters that they were referencing to in Monsters Inc. And like
Uh-huh.
Bill Gates is one of them. And like, I mean,
Uh-huh.
his fucking characters, I know all of
Soros,
him. Yeah,
George
George
Soros.
Soros too. It was crazy. I'm like, oh shit.
I mean, how the fuck do you think those people are staying alive? If I had that amount of stress going through my body every day, to be in such a position of power like they're in, like I would probably drop over dead from a heart attack. But unless it's just they're just used to that. It's so crazy. Um, so okay, so some of the conspiracies around the use of adrenochrome, which I honestly don't think that it's the actual adrenochrome, right? I think it is. I have some stuff written down, but because I don't want to lose track of what I'm saying. So I do believe that yes, adrenochrome is a thing. And yes, I mean, it's dated back, from the Romans to Jewish people to, I mean, it's in history. There is no getting around that. You can look it up of like sacrificial uh, rituals, and children are used,
Oh
babies
yeah.
are used.
Dang, this is where we were just talking about or before, remember. Sorry to interrupt you, but they were talking about
It's okay.
Loosh.
Oh, yes, let's talk about Loosh. I completely forgot about it. We'll come back to the other thing. Tell me again, because I remember we talked about it on the last podcast, but I can't exactly remember it. But it was so interesting.
Yeah, it was. Let me see. Hang on. Let me keep talking about what you were talking about, and I have to come back
Um,
because I need to find this.
anyway, so it's not actually, I mean, yes, bloodletting is real. They do it with animals in other countries. They and it's still a sacrificial ritual that they do with bloodletting with animals. But I do believe historically children were also part of those bloodletting rituals. Um, I feel like now, say like let's jump from, there's a lot of movies, right? Like Eyes Wide Shut. I watched the new House Party movie a couple years ago that was out, and literally they talk about it there. They talk about the sacrifices and what has to happen. It's and in our culture and all around us, and
And what about
people.
that movie that just came out, The Substance?
Oh yeah, but I think like right, like so the substance in there is yellow, right? Well, what is
They're
yellow?
saying it's
What is
Ozempic.
Absolutely not. I honestly believe that it's blood plasma of young blood transfusions. I believe it's the plasma because it's yellow, and the way that the movie is laid out, it would make perfect sense because if they're saying these scientists from Stanford, not they are saying, scientists from Stanford are saying that blood plasma from a younger human to an older human will, in fact, turn back time. I mean, that's not fake. That's not misinformation. Um, and also, I was reading an article the other day about misinformation. It's not misinformation, it's short for missing information.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's
I
a
was
little
like,
play on words.
oh, I was like, we're getting good here. We're getting deep.
We're getting good.
Okay, what do you got?
All right, loosh. Lizard people.
Mm.
The people that harvest your energy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Leaky energy.
Hmm.
Leaky energy.
Interdimensional beings. Wow, this could take us to our next podcast, even.
Let's do it. Yes.
Yeah, so it's energy harvesting, essentially, which is along the lines with adrenochrome. I would say it's in its own category. However,
Yeah, definitely. It's like a
like
subcategory of
it's like a
adrenochrome.
subcategory of adrenochrome.
Yeah.
But it's all energy harvesting and for these demonic people that are disgusting.
Well, and I mean, I want to say, like, is this is this an elitist thing? Absolutely. But is it a normal person thing as well?
Oh,
Is
loosh is a hyper. I literally just Googled loosh. I just put LOOSH into the Google machine, and it said loosh is a hyperdimensional energy given off by human souls when they're traumatized. The archons, ARCHONS, parasitically feed on it. Think of it as their simulacrum of Kundalini.
wow.
So this is like real deep spiritual shit. Loosh, Ascension. How we found the Ascension Glossary. There is a website called the Ascension Glossary, which is quite interesting. Um, And the Ascension Glossary is part of the energetic synthesis family of websites that have been made possible because many people like us do not believe in the tyrannical control mechanisms that enforce copyright law for the purpose of controlling access to information.
Oh, wow.
I'm
That's
gonna cite
amazing.
I'm gonna cite this one. Yeah, I remember we were looking at this. And let's see. There is what links here related da, 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 da. So it's essentially you can go in and I can type in loosh. It's kind of like a
Wow.
Google loosh sh. um it's kind of like a Google for
Google,
it's
the
kind of
Google
like a
machine,
Google.
the Dr.
um
Google.
yeah, so you can go in here and just like type in whatever subject you want and all kinds of stuff will come up. So
Whoa, I'm pumped on that right now.
the Ascension Gallery, the Ascension Glossary.
Glossary, I was going to say gallery.
The Ascension Glossary.
Glossary. I don't know. I don't know. Are we able to pause? We're not able to pause, are we?
No, we're not. Sorry. Just gonna have to go with it. Why did you want to pause?
Because I need to go and check on my potatoes.
Oh, go check on your potatoes.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Don't mind
Yeah.
all my nail stuff. I can still talk though because I have my earbud in. It's probably
Okay.
poisoning my brain
Yeah,
every
so
second.
Jasmine and I are doing this long distance currently. So we had to, we're hoping that doing this via like a Zoom recording call is going to work well enough. So that's why we're on this different thing. And it's, I don't know, kind of cool to do a face-to-face thing.
Yeah, I prefer that honestly because sorry. I prefer that honestly because my brain, I have ADD, and so my brain is constantly in 92 different directions. And really, like, people are gonna see that when they see that I just spaced out during our talk. You were talking and I was all do, 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 do. Um so yes, I definitely feel like all of that is so real, and it's so wild to see the control of the media and like that's not real. How dare you spread false information? And I'm like, if it's not real, then there wouldn't be all kinds of mentionings of it. Because,
Also,
right, the
you know what else is kind of weird that's like a really popular or actually kind of becoming popular, it has been popular, beauty treatment is those vampire facials.
oh yeah, they take your plasma,
Yeah, and they put it
they
on your
take
damn face.
yeah, so they inject it into your face. So they take your blood, they spin it in the machine, the coagulation machine. The plasma comes to the surface. They take that and then they do the vampire facial by injecting the plasma into the top layers of your dermal skin. I mean,
Interesting.
it's it's just so interesting to me. You should link sources so people can see that how it's done.
Yeah, what a vampire facial is.
I mean, let's talk about it. Like, right? So Sandra Bullock was, everybody, I'm back. I have my potatoes. My potatoes. Sandra Bullock was literally on Ellen DeGeneres, and um, she was talking about. I'm trying to think of how to say it because it's so vulgar. Um, Ellen was telling her how good she looked. Now, do we even need to deep dive onto the whole Ellen and you know
Yeah, of
it's
course
so
it was on
crazy.
Ellen.
And also, all of this is for entertainment purposes only. We should have said that at the beginning. We are not looking to unalive ourselves. We are
We're
just here
both
to
pretty stable
entertain.
humans besides looking at this type of shit.
Yeah, but we're aware. We think for ourselves.
Well, and we think curiosity is a very important part of life, and who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Oh my God, dude, these potatoes are so good and they're gluten free. I'm gonna eat potatoes for the rest of my life.
If anyone has gluten-free recipes, Jasmine would like them, please.
I mean, literally discovering that you have a gluten intolerance at the age of 47. Rude.
Thank you, Olive Garden. Oh, our meeting's gonna end in 10 minutes because I have the ratchet unpaid version. So until we can start making some money from this podcast,
We literally have to have the free version.
man.
Please, please help us, Whipple. Um, so we can start it back up and add a part two.
Also, what do you guys think of a Patreon? I think we should do a Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Patreon is a really good idea.
yeah, we could do like shorter podcast episodes and upload, and
Uh-huh.
then anything like extended on a subject we could put on Patreon. I think that would be cool.
And I think it might help too, so we don't get flagged.
Yeah, and generate a little bit of money because we bootstrapping this shit. This is just
And
like,
we literally spend hours researching shit. Like we research our research, our research.
yeah. So if y'all like what you're hearing, just show us a little love and we'll keep you updated on the Patreon because that would be an easy way to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we don't have to stop talking about it in the middle of it. So,
Yeah.
um, anyway, so well, I guess we got to make this kind of quick, but we'll just come to a part two. So if it ends, we'll just and then we'll go to a part two.
Yeah, we'll cut it. We can go to a part two. We can talk about more of the loosh and
Mm-hmm.
energy harvesting and
I mean,
yeah,
there's so much, right? Because there's, um, I mean, it's what the whole Diddy and Epstein and all of that stuff is about, right? Is this? It's the trafficking of humans for many different reasons. Um, some are just sick perversions, and some are more vain, you know?
yeah. And
And
control and power. Because if you're taking other people's energy, that means you have more power.
yeah, well, and like, then they have, I mean, there's so much more than just adrenochrome. There's also spirit cooking. Marina Amberovich has made that famous within the elitist community.
Gross, dude.
She's known all through Hollywood. Everybody knows who she is. It's not a little secret. You can go and Google her name. She's considered an artist, but yet she has spirit cooking ceremonies and all the elitists go there. I mean, I can't even believe some of the people that have,
And the thing
you know,
is that there's been so many cases too of like people who escape from like cults or
mm-hmm,
these like weird elitist fucking things, and they all have the same stories about this type of shit.
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep, they do. And it's so sad because discredited or unalived. And when I
Mhm.
say they are discredited, like their careers are ruined,
Yeah,
their lives are ruined,
yeah. There's so many people who are crazy. Oh, they're crazy. Uh-huh.
or they're
Yeah.
completely unalived and never seen again.
Hmm.
You
That's
know?
why we just come out the gate saying we're crazy, but we don't want to unalive ourselves.
Yeah, we are crazy, but we don't want to unalive ourselves.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so much to the adrenochrome conspiracy, and I definitely think that adrenochrome has been. I mean, it's they sell it in ampules. You can get it from your doctor for certain diseases. I don't know if they sell them anymore, but I know that it was a thing a long time ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago. And I just feel like let's call it what it is. It's blood plasma harvesting.
Gross.
It's blood
Okay.
plasma harvesting.
And on that note, we're gonna end this because I gotta go because my dog is telling me he needs to go out, and we all know how that goes with Kodiak.
Tune in for part two.
Tune in for part two, and I'm gonna throw this
Mm,
up shortly, hopefully. And thank you for listening, Conspiracy
yeah, man.
Cowgirls. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
You can
YouTube,
find us
and
on Instagram, TikTok.
Instagram.
Not that I know how long that'll be around
I know,
anymore.
hopefully TikTok is not going anywhere, but we'll see. And Amazon Podcasts. So thank you
Cool
for
beans.
listening.
Bye, everybody. Thanks
Bye.
for
Oh,
putting up
also,
with our.
if you want to go to conspiracycowgirls.com and submit your
Oh,
conspiracies,
yes.
please do that because we would love to hear what you want to hear about. Absolutely love it.
There's so many.
Yeah, join our
Yes.
conversation. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
yes, yes.
you.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.